Your belly fat is not your fault. I know you have heard that before, and I know it sounds like something a supplement company pays someone to say before trying to sell you a $90 bottle of pills. But stay with me for 60 seconds, because what I am about to show you is backed by peer-reviewed science, published in journals like Nature, the Journal of Hepatology, and JAMA, and it will completely change how you think about the stubborn fat around your midsection. There is an organ sitting inside your body right now, one you have probably never thought about in the context of belly fat, that is either forcing your body to store visceral fat around your organs, or forcing it to release that fat. That organ is your liver. And the reason your diet is not working, the reason your calorie counting fails, the reason you lose weight everywhere except your stomach, is because your liver has gone into fat storage mode. In this video, I am going to show you the exact biological process that causes this, what a 7-day liver reset actually does to your metabolism based on real clinical research, and why your body has a built-in countdown clock that starts fighting back almost the moment you begin. If you understand what I am about to explain, you will never approach fat loss the same way again. Part 1. The liver-belly fat connection. Here is something your doctor probably never told you. The fat around your organs, what scientists call visceral adipose tissue, does not behave like the fat on your thighs or your arms. It has its own direct highway to your liver, called the portal vein. Every single fatty acid that visceral fat releases goes straight to your liver, not through your general circulation. Directly, constantly, like a private pipeline. Now here is where it gets interesting. When your liver is healthy, it processes those incoming fatty acids, burns them for energy, and keeps the system balanced. But when your liver becomes overburdened, from processed food, excess sugar, alcohol, or chronic stress, something shifts. The liver stops burning fat. It starts storing it. And when the liver stores fat, a condition clinicians now call metabolic dysfunction-associated steatotic liver disease, it sends a cascade of inflammatory signals back through that same portal highway. Signals that tell your visceral fat to hold on, do not release, keep storing. It becomes a loop. The liver causes more belly fat. The belly fat feeds more liver dysfunction. And the loop keeps spinning. This is why standard diets fail for so many people. You can cut your calories. You can count every macro. But if your liver is stuck in fat storage mode, the biology works against you. The good news, this loop has a switch. And that switch lives in the liver. Here is the most important piece of science in this entire video. Of all the fat compartments in your body, total body fat, subcutaneous fat under the skin, visceral fat around the organs, your liver fat is the most responsive. It is the first to move, and it moves the fastest when the right conditions are created. That is not a marketing claim. That is from a lifestyle intervention study tracked with MRI scanning over 9 months of real subjects. Your liver is not a problem. It is the solution, if you know how to use it. Part 2. What a 7-day liver reset actually does. So what actually happens inside your body during a liver reset? Let us go day by day, not with promises, but with biology. Days 1 and 2. The moment you remove ultra-processed food, excess fructose, alcohol, and seed oils from your diet, your liver begins to downregulate de novo lipogenesis. That is the process by which the liver manufactures new fat from sugar. Simultaneously, your insulin levels start to drop. And lower insulin is the single most important signal for unlocking fat stores. When insulin is elevated, the body literally cannot access stored fat for fuel. No amount of willpower overcomes that biochemistry. Days 3 and 4. Your liver begins phase 1 detoxification. Cytochrome 450 enzymes start breaking down the fat-soluble compounds that have been accumulating. Glutathione production ramps up. This is the phase where people often feel worse before they feel better. Mild fatigue, headaches, that is your liver doing its job. If you have tried a cleanse and felt terrible on day 3, you were not failing. You were detoxifying. Days 5 and 6. This is where hepatic fat, the fat inside the liver cells, begins to measurably mobilize. The portal vein signal changes. Instead of sending inflammatory fatty acids to visceral fat, your liver starts sending lipolytic signals, signals to release, not to store. Visceral fat, remember, has a higher lipolytic sensitivity than subcutaneous fat. It responds faster to these signals. That is why people often notice the stomach area changing before anywhere else when the liver is properly supported. Day 7. By day 7, research shows liver enzyme markers begin to improve. Insulin sensitivity improves. The inflammatory cytokines that were keeping your visceral fat locked up begin to quiet down. Now, and this is critical, day 7 is not the finish line. It is the beginning of the biological window where your body is most primed to continue. The question is what happens on day 8. And that leads us to the part most people never talk about. Part 3. Before your body fights back. Here is the biological truth that the wellness industry does not want you to know, because it makes 7-day plans sound less magical. Your body starts fighting back on day 1, not day 8. Day 1. The moment you enter a caloric deficit, your body initiates a survival response called adaptive thermogenesis. Your metabolism begins to slow, not because you are doing something wrong, but because your body is ancient and treats any sudden energy reduction as a potential famine. Studies published in the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition measured this precisely. Within 7 days of caloric restriction, test subjects' resting energy expenditure dropped by an average of 178 calories per day, above and beyond what was explained by the weight they had already lost. That means if you were burning 1,800 calories a day before, by day 7, you might only be burning 1,622, even though your body composition has barely changed yet. And the hormonal picture is dramatic. Leptin drops 44%. Insulin drops 54%. Your thyroid hormone T3 drops nearly 40%. Your sympathetic nervous system, the system that burns energy, drops 38% in activity. Your body is doing everything it can to slow the burn and preserve its fat reserves. Now, does this mean the 7-day reset does not work? No, it means the 7-day reset creates a momentum that you must ride correctly before the adaptation deepens. Think of it like launching a rocket. The first stage burns the most fuel and generates the most lift. If you stop the engines prematurely, you do not reach orbit. The 7 days is the first stage, the most metabolically favorable window, but you have to stage correctly into what comes next. The people who fail after a 7-day reset do not fail because the reset did not work. They fail because they return to the inputs that overloaded the liver in the first place. And here is the nightmare scenario science has actually documented. After any caloric restriction, your body enters a state called catch-up fat. The liver and skeletal muscle actually alter their local thyroid hormone metabolism to maximize fat storage efficiency. Meaning, if you go back to eating the same way you were before, you will regain fat faster than you lost it, and most of that fat will go straight back to the visceral compartment. This is why yo-yo dieting is not just ineffective, it can make visceral fat accumulation worse with each cycle. Part 4. The science-backed reset protocol. So let us build the actual protocol, based on real peer-reviewed research, not supplement marketing. Pillar 1. Remove the liver's workload. The liver has 2 phases of detoxification. Phase 1 breaks fat-soluble toxins into intermediate compounds using cytochrome P450 enzymes. Phase 2 converts those intermediates into water-soluble substances that can be excreted. For 7 days, you need to stop adding to Phase 1's queue. That means no alcohol, no ultra-processed food, no high-fructose corn syrup, no trans fats. These do not just burden the liver, they actively inhibit Phase 2 conjugation, creating a bottleneck where toxic intermediates accumulate. Pillar 2. Feed Phase 2 directly. Phase 2 requires specific nutrients to run, glutathione precursors, found in cruciferous vegetables like broccoli, kale, and Brussels sprouts. B-complex vitamins. Vitamin C, selenium, sulfur-containing amino acids from eggs and lean meats. These are not optional add-ons. They are the biochemical substrates the liver uses to complete detoxification. Without them, Phase 1 runs, Phase 2 stalls, and you feel worse. Pillar 3. Lower insulin. A 12-week randomized controlled trial published in Nature's Scientific Reports journal found that a structured low-glycemic, high-fiber diet produced significant reductions in both visceral adipose tissue area and liver fat content versus a control group. A 4-month low-carbohydrate intervention across 474 obese patients with fatty liver, published in the journal Nutrients in September 2025, confirmed both visceral fat and liver stiffness decreased significantly. The common thread in every successful dietary intervention for this specific fat pattern, lowering the insulin signal. Carbohydrate quality, not just calorie count, determines the hormonal environment that either locks or unlocks visceral fat. Pillar 4. Move, even a little. An 8-week study found that just 15 minutes of daily aerobic exercise, regardless of intensity, reduced both liver fat and visceral belly fat compared to completely inactive controls. You do not need hours in a gym. You need consistency. Pillar 5. Protect the window. Give your liver a 14-hour overnight window with no food intake. This is not fasting. This is your normal overnight sleep extended slightly. During this window, the liver shifts from active processing to cellular repair. This single habit accelerates everything else in the protocol. One final note on supplements. In January 2026, JAMA Network Open published a multi-center randomized controlled trial that tested berberine, one of the most aggressively marketed liver supplements, against placebo over 6 months in over 400 obese patients with fatty liver. Result: no significant difference in visceral fat or liver fat between the berberine group and the placebo group. 0. The protocol that works is the one built from food, movement, and time, not the one built around a supplement label. Part 5. What comes after Day 7? Day 7 is not your victory lap. Day 7 is your launch point. The adaptive response is real, but it is manageable if you understand it. Here is how science says to stay ahead of it. First, do not return to your previous inputs. The catch-up fat mechanism depends on the body perceiving the threat has passed. If you immediately resume alcohol, processed food, and sugar, you trigger the rebound. If you maintain even 80% of the protocol, the rebound is dramatically blunted. Second, continue the overnight 14-hour window. This one habit has an outsized effect on maintaining the metabolic improvements the first 7 days created. Third, track waist circumference, not just weight. Visceral fat loss does not always show immediately on the scale because water regulation changes simultaneously. Waist measurements and how your clothes fit are more reliable early indicators. Fourth, know that meaningful, measured visceral fat reduction takes 12 weeks of consistency. The 7-day reset initiates the shift. 12 weeks sustains it. The randomized trials that actually measured visceral fat with Muri ran for a minimum of 12 weeks. That is your real target. And here is something remarkable that was published just weeks before I made this video. In February 2026, scientists at the University Hospital's Cleveland Medical Center announced the discovery of a previously unknown enzyme in the liver that controls fat production. When they blocked this enzyme in animal studies, the animals stopped gaining weight, liver damage reversed, and harmful cholesterol dropped, all at once. This discovery has not reached human trials yet, but it is one of the most significant pieces of basic liver science in years, and it confirms what every serious metabolic researcher already knows. The liver is not an innocent bystander in obesity. The liver is the command center. Let me summarize everything we covered. Visceral belly fat and your liver are locked in a feedback loop. The liver drives the fat drives the liver damage. Breaking that loop is the real mechanism behind any successful belly fat loss strategy. The 7-day liver reset works not because of magic, but because it removes the liver's workload, feeds its detox pathways, lowers the insulin signal that locks visceral fat in place, and initiates measurable hepatic fat mobilization, which is the fastest moving fat compartment in the human body. Your body does fight back, starting from day 1. But now you know what it is doing, why it is doing it, and how to stay one step ahead. 7 days is the ignition. 12 weeks is the orbit. The science is on your side, if you are willing to work with your biology instead of against it. If this video helped you understand your body even 10% better, hit the like button. It genuinely helps this research reach people who need it. Subscribe if you want the full 12-week protocol breakdown coming next week. And drop in the comments, how long have you been fighting belly fat? I read every single one. I will see you in the next one.